There are many people who see these majestic, beautiful creatures and who then say, I want one, although some will see the price tag and run away. Others will pursue this desire to own one of these magnificent birds without ever thinking it through or doing the necessary research and investigation into what it really takes to have a bird like this as a pet. Parrots have been kept as pets for thousands of years. Ancient Romans kept them as pets as far back as 5,000 years ago. Parrots first appeared in Europe in 327 BC when Alexander the Great conquered India and took a ringneck and an Alexandrian parrot back to Greece. After the fall of the Roman Empire, parrots were rare in Europe, but interest in them rose again after Christopher Columbus brought some back after his voyages to the Americas, with the first record of a parrot being kept as a pet in the British Isles was in 1504 when Henry VIII owned an African grey parrot. Budgie parakeets started the hobby of parrot keeping in the US in the mid-1800s. Today, roughly 8 million parrots are kept as pets. Most pet parrots are only a few generations removed from the wild. Few owners allow the birds to fulfill even their most basic instincts, flying, flocking, and finding mates. These highly social creatures are usually caged and alone, with little stimulation. For an animal as emotionally complex as a chimpanzee or a dolphin, it can be an unimaginably bleak existence. Parrot experts estimate that some 75% of household birds live a life of abuse or neglect. Often people buy a parrot because they fall in love with these beautiful creatures, but they fail to realize how much of a commitment it really is. And when the honeymoon phase is over and the owner doesn't have the time or doesn't make the time, this results in unwanted behavioral issues in parrots. And these behavioral issues can become so extreme, it can threaten the life of the parrot. Feather plucking disorder is a common behavioral issue among many pet birds, especially amongst African greys, cockatoos, and macaws, but also found in other parrot species as well. Feather plucking is probably the most common affliction faced by parrots in a domestic setting, and also the most misunderstood. For this very reason, there are thousands of parrots who are neglected, abused, and mistreated every day, even by people who are trying their best and who think they know what they're doing, but in actuality they're causing more harm than not. There are varying degrees to this disorder, from feather picking, feather plucking, to the extreme, self-mutilation, which is when the bird can really be injured. Feather picking happens at the beginning stages when a parrot starts picking at its own feathers and sometimes breaking them off. Feather plucking is when the parrot pulls out its feathers right out of its feather sheath, which leaves bare patches of skin exposed. This is the path which gives way to the bird committing self-mutilation. Self-mutilation is the extreme case of feather plucking in parrots because when the bird bites itself, it is biting at their own skin, and it causes skin lesions that can lead to bacterial infections or severe bleeding, which can be life-threatening as they can die if they lose enough blood. There are countless caged parrots who are either feather plucking or self-mutilating and destroying themselves permanently, which can be brought on by a whole host of reasons. Just identifying the specific reasons why your parrot is feather plucking can be very challenging. Feather picking, plucking, and mutilation can all be caused by a variety of factors, which could either be physiological or psychological in nature.
I want to ask you, how bad is the parrot problem I know it's more than just feather picking, plucking, mutilation.
Well, on that specific issue, again, feather destructive behaviors, as a behavior problem, there's a couple things to consider. One is some of those are medical disorders. So you do have to differentiate the ones that are medical disorders from those that are truly behavioral disorders. I mean, those are the only two categories it could be. We do know that birds can pull their feathers out for a whole variety of medical reasons that if you could diagnose and treat, you may be able to end the behavior, or at least stop them from doing that. There are theories that birds can pick for when they feel something, when they're aware something is off, that the pulling the feathers is an outward expression of something internal. So keep in mind that birds that pull their feathers out because of behavior reasons can only pull out the areas they can reach. So they can't pull out feathers on their head, you know, that type of thing. They can only pull feathers out in the parts of the body they can reach.
Right.
So you'll see them having a full head of feathers in certain other areas because they can't reach those areas.
Have you ever heard of another parrot plucking, let's say two of them are together, but one has this disorder and maybe they both have it? And has there ever been a case like that where they're doing it to each other?
There is normal preening where birds preen each other, clean each other's feathers, will go through the motions of taking care of each other, and that's a normal bonding social behavior. Pulling the feathers out is a whole different story.
So would you say that these disorders are escalating? So like, where do you see what's going to happen? If we don't do something about this, if people don't start doing something about this, it's going to continue to get worse?
Yeah, it's hard to know because so much of it is theory. There's not definitive science on a lot of this. A lot of it is personal observations. A lot of it are people like me who've been a bird vet over 20 years that have seen so many cases, taken so many histories, learned from a lot of these patients, hearing other people's opinions, what has been published in the scientific literature, what's been written on websites that's somebody's opinion, but somebody read it and thinks it's fact, you know, that type of thing. So there are a lot of theories and a lot of loose endings in some of these. Specific to your question, is it getting worse? Hard to say. Steps have been taken to make it better. Like one of the things that is believed and accepted by a lot of people are that parrots that are hand raised from the egg are more likely to develop behavior problems than those that are raised by their parents or co-raised with their parents and a person. So somebody who's breeding, say they're breeding birds, breeding parrots, they lay eggs, they take the eggs away, incubate them, and from the time that egg hatches, they imprint on humans and they're raised by humans, are more likely to have problems than birds that are reared by their parents. And actually there are avian welfare advocates who are trying to push away from hand-raising baby birds with the intent that they are more well-adjusted when they are raised by their parents or co-raised with their parents and a human to socialize them as well. And I know that there are countries in Europe where they have actually banned hand-raising parrots.
Really?
They have to be raised by their parents, their actual bird parents, socialized to people, and then pulled at weaning, and then they can become a pet. Currently in the United States, if I'm not mistaken, the last that I knew is California is the only state where you cannot sell unweaned birds as pets. So everywhere else in the country, anybody who even have never owned a bird before can go and buy a bird that is not weaned yet or eating on its own, and that bird is like an infant and is 100% survival responsible on that person who maybe has never raised a bird before.
Some parrots feather pluck or mutilate themselves because they are left in their cages all day long with hardly any interaction between bird and owner. Or sometimes it's because their cages are way too small. Other reasons, besides loneliness, could be from boredom, poor diet, toxins, parasites, or even a change of environment, like the owners moving to a new home. If your bird shows signs of this disorder and is either feather picking, plucking, and especially mutilating, it is advised to have them examined by an avian veterinarian to help assess the causes and so that the correct treatment can be given to the bird to help stop them from this behavioral disorder from getting worse.
More of the issue is really what's going on with the economy right now. A lot of people, especially during COVID time, they lost their jobs. They had to relocate. They had to downsize. I once had a mother. This was one of the first condos we even had. It was a mother. She called me. She gives me the address. I come and it's a hotel. I'm like, I've never been called over to a hotel. It's kind of weird. I go into a hotel. I see it's a one-room hotel. There's three kids, the mother, their dog, and this conure. And she says, we lost our home. We're going from hotel to hotel, and we cannot take care of this bird anymore. It's just one situation. We have many, many other stories like this. Like, yeah, a lot of people lose their homes. A lot of people end up in a situation, financial situation, which they could not foresee. And now they have to make this tough decision. But end of the day, they have to think about what's better for the bird. It doesn't make sense for the bird to go from hotel to hotel, and you're wasting your energy. You're burdened by the bird as well. You know, they have way tougher issues on their mind than a bird, and it's kind of sad because they are supposed to be responsible for the bird, but at the same time, you can't judge them because they have so much more going on in their life, and this cannot be a priority for them because she has three kids. You know, she has to do what's right for the kids.
Well, that makes sense.
So I don't think it's that the problem got worse. I think it's that the problem is now affecting people because people are starting to pass away who adopted birds all those years ago. It's like the issue with the baby boomers.
Well, that's the big problem is the baby boomers are set to leave millions of birds behind. And there's nowhere for those to go. I mean, statistically, when you use the Humane Society data and stats, there's over 1 million birds that are going to need homes in the next 10 years that don't have homes.
The issue is skipping a generation, and now it's hitting, the kids of the people whose parents adopted the parrots decades ago, and they don't know what to do.
When it comes to diet and nutrition for a parrot, there seems to be a common misconception that all parrots need is seeds, nuts, and water. This couldn't be further from the truth. First, sunflower seeds and peanuts are high in fat, and birds can easily become addicted. Parrots have a certain diet requirement, and some require a very specialized diet, such as toucans. Beans and grains are better alternatives to nuts and seeds, as they are lower in fat and the combo forms a complete protein. Fruits, seeds, and nuts can also intensify the bird's mating instincts. Even knowledgeable parrot owners can be guilty of improper nutrition because of the misconceptions they have of what parrots eat. Plus, it takes work to give them the very best diet. Ultimately, a parrot's diet should consist of mostly fresh vegetables every day, along with pelleted food also being incorporated into their diets. Owning a happy and healthy parrot takes more than just giving them the right diet. Being committed to their best interests and utmost well-being also means making sure parrots have their playtime with plenty of parrot toys being available to them to keep their minds actively engaged and entertained, especially since parrots are extremely intelligent and need mindful stimulation, or else they will become bored, and boredom can lead to feather plucking disorders. In addition to playing with their toys, parrots also need to play with their owners, and their owners must spend loving and attentive time with them on a regular basis for them to thrive properly.
And so when birds are here and they're in the hotel, we don't leave them just in their cage in the hotel room. It's very important that we bring them out and that they get interacted with people. So we have birds that love to be here. And we actually had a cockatoo that didn't want to go home one day at all with his owner. The owner had to get a towel to chase him around, to towel him, to get him to go home with him. He just wanted to stay. So because they have each other to talk to.
Sure.
They relate to each other. When one bird goes down to eat, the birds around him all go down to eat. They have flock mentality.
Why is it so important to alternate toys and to change them out often?
It's excruciatingly important that these guys do not get bored in their house. And it's no different than us being in our surrounding. We want engagement, we want entertainment and activity. So we try very hard to teach people, to customers, to try different toys. Wood, cardboard, plastic, non-destructive toys. But yeah, we don't send babies any longer because there's so many that need rehomed. They have personality. People don't realize it's just an animal to put in a barred cage like this and just leave. You have to play with them and interact, and they're like having a 3-year-old child for life. For their life, it's 60 to 80 years if you're talking a macaw.
Right.
Yeah, he has his foot up like, take me off of here. Ryder.
Hi, Ryder.
You want to take a bath? You want to take a bath? Oh, what a pretty sound. You want to take a bath?
You like that, huh?
He loves baths, and that's what this is up here for, because he would dip his tail in there and get it totally wet, and then come over here and rub his face off. Yeah, you're silly.
Parrots are highly intelligent social creatures that need lots of love and lots of attention, and so they require an outstanding high commitment on the part of the owner. These highly sociable, intelligent birds can make excellent pet companions to the right owner, who is truly willing to take on this commitment. This commitment is not like the commitment of owning a cat or a dog, and is a life commitment, like having a 3-year-old child for the rest of your life. The decision to purchase a parrot should not be taken lightly. The potential owner must be completely honest with themselves, prepared, and fully committed to the parrot's well-being before bringing one home. If one is not able or willing to fully commit to these birds for the rest of their lives, which they can easily outlive their owner's lives, then they should not buy one. Maybe buying a picture of one would be better, or adopting a dog from the Humane Society would be a better fit.
Hi.
That's gorgeous.
I hope it's coming out.
Yeah, it's recording. The light's blinking, so it means it's recording.
Okay.
What's his favorite tree?
Sunflowers.
Hi.
Here's the camera. Everybody's eating the sunflowers. Of course the sunflowers are gone.
Right? It's like their favorite, like peanuts.
Yeah.
Right? You like peanuts? Nice to see fresh water. I know that's for sure. Here, let's do it like
Oh
this.
yeah. Fresh water every day. Ooh, come in.
There you go. Yeah, you're on film. You're on candid camera.
I hope
You want it? You want it? Come and get it. No,
Oh, no,
don't.
not the camera.
You
Not
want to
the
eat this,
camera,
not the
baby.
camera, then we won't have the footage.
Not the camera.
There you go.
Would you like some? No, Mom. You don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah.